Hi, I'm Chris Millay, and I'm going to teach you a bit about my writing process. So we're going to go over to step number 1. So what we're going to do is, number 1, defining objective. Okay? Defining objective. So let's take our rhetorical analysis just as a peer review example. When we had to create the argument, I defined the objective of my argument. What point did I want to get across? You had to pick a point and stick to it. That is what I mean by objective. When I'm writing something else, for example, the objective is maybe create character storyline. Okay, that's a pretty basic objective, okay? So the question is, the next step we go to is step 2. We're going to go with how and what. So, basically, we're going to go with how and what. How and what basically means when we look at the rhetorical analysis. Okay, the how is how I'm going to get that argument across. The what is the objective. So, in the objective sense, we go, okay, well, I'm going to argue that Batman is indeed not George Bush. He is actually Sarah Palin. How am I going to do that? Well, let's see. I'll try to connect Batman to Alaska somehow and reference comics in which he's been fighting Russians. I don't know. We'll do it something like that. You know, I want to find specific source material or create source material that enforces the what, or, which is in turn, the objective. Alright, so as we're all with each other so far, I'll walk you through a little bit like this. I go with, say I'm going to write out a character. Setting, race, place, class, job. Let me fix that for a second. Alrighty then. Now, this is my standard system. Basically, how this system works is I fill in these 5 categories. So let's go with my create character storyline. I typically write into fantasy setting, specifically medieval or medieval style. You're still going with Tolkien or you're still going with Salvador. It doesn't really matter. Sorry, talking gets you a little bit parched. All right, fantastic. So we're gonna go with my setting is fantasy medieval. Now, what are our races? Let's say we have our typical smorgasbord races. We're going to go with elves, dwarves, men. Let's add another. Orcs. We're going to go with that. Let's say the elves live in the forests. The dwarves live down in the mountains and the mines. The orcs live in the barren desert wastelands. Let's go with some stereotypes here. The humans are colonizing cities, but, you know, sometimes there are some in there, but the humans typically settle around their cities and have, fishing villages, typical. But let's say that our guy is an elf. Okay? Alright. But where is he? Let's make this a little interesting. He is in human. He's in a human capital. Human capital city, to be more specific. Sorry, a bit of cough. Class. Class typically means, let's take D&D for example, just to make this a little bit more generic. You got your fighters, you got your mages, you got your druids, barbarians, rangers, sorcerers, the list goes on, but let's pick for now, he's a mage. Alright. And the job is like a subclass. To take, for example, my subclass would be, for me personally, I am a communications major, but my focus or my job is production or television production, to be example. So we'll go with the job is, let's say he's a necromancer. Okay. Now, if we go with, the important thing to think about here is stereotypes. Now, don't hold your character to stereotypes, but initially think of them or their race as a whole as a defining stereotype, just when you're creating this character. So, we ask the next question, which is in step 3, which means refine details. Okay? Refine details means the following. Why? This is the single most important question in my writing process. Why am I arguing this? Why in this rhetorical analysis do I choose to bring that up? Well, I may or may not put that in there. I may not even write about why. But it's important to know because ideas spawn off of understanding. So if you understand why you pick this particular topic or you pick in these orders, that will help you, kind of understand and bring more life to what you're writing. So we take this character, for example. So here we have, in a medieval fantasy setting, in the stereotypical setting, we have an elf. For some reason, is in the human capital city. Why is he in the human capital city? What is he searching? Let's say he's searching for something. Okay. Searching for something. We answered that question, but that answer asks another question. What? What is he searching for? Well, you can then connect it to this. He's a mage, right? So he's let's say magical item. Okay, magical item. He's searching for, we'll switch it out here. Searching for magical item. Okay, so the what disappears for now. I mean, we could ask what the magical item is, but that actually might feed into why he's a necromancer. So we ask ourselves, is he a hero? Is he a villain? I'd say he's a hero for right now. Now, that's odd for a good person to be a necromancer. We'll ask another question. Why is he a necromancer? Let's say not by choice. Has unnatural powers with the dead and speaks to spirits. So maybe he's not so much of a necromancer. That's not how you spell necromancer. Fantastically. There you go. But maybe he's not so much a necromancer, but more of a person who can speak to the dead, which is uncanny for an elf. How does that happen? Maybe he touched this magical item that he is searching for. And maybe the item was stolen from people by, let's just say for now, stereotypical evil force, and he was sent to take it back. Now, that's pretty. Why is he a necromancer? Not by choice. He has unnatural powers with that and speaks to spirits. He got this by touching the magical item that he is searching for. Maybe the item was stolen from his people by evil force, and he was sent to take it back. Okay. That, right there, is the very basis of what you could write an entire story on. Now, if we look at it closer, so then we go into step 4. Take a step back. Okay. Now, this is a very important thing because my personal rule is, I have a personal saying or rule about this, is the following. Every idea looks great when you write it. Every idea looks great when you write it. What that means is more, what I just wrote above, that may seem great, but if I were to step back and look back at it, even in 20 minutes later, if I were to just take a walk outside, come back, and read, well, I might have a problem with, wait, the unnatural powers with the dead, I'm not sure. Touching a magical item may seem a little bit too cliche. An evil force, we need to define that more. So then, when you come back to step 5, that's 54. Yeah, I've got 54 steps. When you get back to step 5, you write questions. You write your questions and address them. So basically, in the question is like, okay, is the magical item that he uses, is that necessary? And I'm like, not necessarily. It could be an otherworldly force. It could be, and I could pick one out of that. When it's rhetorical analysis, I could go, well, is this argument that I'm bringing up really valid? And I'm like, well, I can see it in the pages and I can see how it works, but Not necessarily. I don't think that the argument is necessarily strong. All right, so my question is how I can make it stronger. All right, I could do A, B, and C. All right, so I do A, B, and C by addressing them. All right, so, and the final process, well, this is more, not final, but this is where you get in a loop. So I call it loop step. You repeat steps, basically 3 through 5, until you get to a point until product is finished. And then step 7 is revise, is your final look over with questions, maybe address a few, and then you once again step back, revise, and then finish. Now, this may seem like a lot to do, but honestly, you could probably do all of these steps in the better part of an hour and a half. I mean, depending on how long your break is, you could really take a 20-minute break in between, take another 10-minute break after you're done revising, revise it again, probably 2 hours, depending on how much you're writing. And honestly, this has never failed me in how I do it. Now, if you follow this to the letter, I have never failed. So that's a little look into my writing process, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.